Hey, it's April 29th, 2026, Wednesday. And I am not living in a car right now, even though it looks like it. I'm waiting outside Jacob's Chess Club. I guess it's not just his chess club. We technically got a family membership, but everybody in there is either way better than me. Probably everybody's just way better than me. But there are little kids too, and if I even was able to beat some of them, which I'm pretty sure I couldn't beat all of them, I would feel bad beating someone else's little kid. I never let my own kids win, but it's different when it's someone else's kid, and I'm not really good enough to teach them a whole lot, so just feels awkward. So I just stayed out of it. The guy that's in charge is always like, "Aren't you gonna play?" And I'm like, it's just a little embarrassing. I'm bad enough that it's compared to them. To me, it's embarrassing, and it's not like it's chess classes. It's it's just casual play, and I don't want to bore the people with how long I take to make moves or with the ease of which they could beat me in a timed game. So anyway, Jacob's liking it, and I think it's kind of cool. He has his own thing, He goes in there as his own person, and he doesn't need me other than to get him in there, and up there's some stairs and stuff. But I think it's cool and good that he has like his own thing here that's new. It's separate from anybody he's ever known, and so that's a good experience, I think. But also it saves me from making a fool of myself. So yeah, I haven't vlogged in a long time, and I've talked about this. It's just different in the apartment. In the van, Nikki would go in the back with headphones, and I would just vlog in the front seat. And yeah, we were close together, but there was a lot of muffling stuff, with all the bedding and curtains. And the apartment's real echoey, and it's actually, even though she's in another room, it's actually harder for her to sleep when I do that. And the end of the day is just when is the best fit for me to do this. So I don't know what we'll end up doing on that. It's a smaller, kind of a small, the apartment doesn't feel small, but it's got one area is the living room and kitchen, and then there's a den, which is where the bedroom is, where she's sleeping when I vlog, and then Jacob's bedroom, and then a bathroom. And I guess there is a sizable closet between Jacob's bedroom and the bathroom, but I could potentially do it there, but that could disrupt what he's doing potentially, but maybe I should ask him about it. And that would be a good sound, it would have good sound in there, sound muffling and stuff. But anyway, so that's one of the main reasons I haven't been doing it. Also, it's just hard to get back on track whenever we change locations. Even when we were in the van and we changed locations, it was just it always just took me a while to get back into a rhythm. And I'm just realizing if he texts me while I'm doing this, I'm not certain that the notification pops up, and that would be pretty big bummer if he was stuck in there. I'm almost positive it goes till 9, but yeah, I guess if something came up and he needed me. Over here it's dark. There's a street light or something here, but he's probably okay. We've done this a number of times, and he's never needed us before the end. He usually ends up playing long until after 9, and he has a good time, really good time. But yeah, so haven't been doing it. Haven't had a great routine in place. I think I've talked about this before. Like in Laramie, we just had a real set routine, you know. It was easier to get up early in the van too, because you were out in public, you know, essentially. So like the world starts getting up and going, and that wakes you up early, quite early, and then we would go to the Laramie. We'd go cook our breakfast in the park, go to the Laramie Library, do our writing and reading, and and then we just dash from in the afternoon and in the night, and that was it. Here it's been a little different, and we're wanting to both dash. We need more money because we have bills now that we live in an apartment, and I was trying to make a business with some AI products, and that turns out that wasn't gonna work out the way AI is developing, which is happening so fast. But I suppose I got a lot of experience using AI models. ChatGPT mostly. I'm using Claude more and more now, and I want to try to get into using the agents, the autonomous agents, making autonomous agents that can just do stuff for you without you getting involved. And so I plan on trying to look into that and work on. I've been researching that, and anyway, then I was sick for like a month and a half or something, and then I got on Outlier. It's a website where I had remote work, gig work essentially, testing AI. And then there was an interesting thing that happened, like yesterday or the day before. They deactivated me. Actually, it was Friday. They deactivated me permanently. And I'm like, what? And I appealed it a number of times, and they're like, sorry, we did a thorough review of your account, and it's been confirmed that you violated our guidelines. And for the life of me, I couldn't figure out what I had done. There was a glitch. What I thought it was there was a glitch on their site, and this may have been what it was in reality, where I don't want to explain too much of it because it's not interesting, but like this, you had to listen to 2 audio clips, like it was 2 AI responses to somebody asking a question or asking for something, and you had to rate each response and ultimately choose which one was better. And the response A would not register as having been fully played. But so I couldn't click on it because like it's one of the things on that screen or format of that task was like, you have to listen to all audio clips all the way through completely before you can proceed. And so like the rating buttons stayed grayed out, and the submit button was, I guess, not functional. And I'm like, well, I thought it was a glitch at first, and so I like refreshed for another task, and it happened again, and I realized, well, I can tab to these buttons instead of using a mouse. And lo and behold, the tab, I could spacebar instead of click once I tabbed to the button I wanted. And so I went ahead. I was like, okay, I can work this way. I got a workaround, which I'd done in business before in jobs. If you had a workaround, that was cool. So I did quite a bit of that for, I think, a couple days. I was doing that because it just stayed like that. And so Thursday last week was the last day I did it. And then we went to get my son Justice from Rolla on Friday because he had to deal with his car, and that's a whole nother story. But it was Friday night that I got the email that I'd been deactivated for violating standard. And I think that must have been what it was, because the response A still showed as not having been fully played, even though it had been. And so I was submitting all these tasks with it looking like I hadn't listened fully to everything, and that was a requirement. And that didn't occur to me at the time that would be a problem. I was like, I just got to work around. I'm a good, productive employee. I can still work. And so, anyway, permanently deactivated. They're like, nope. I kept trying to explain. I even explained that situation. I was like, I think I found out what it is. This was happening last week, and I worked around, but it still showed unplayed. And they're like, sorry, no, just can't do it. It was like, and I'd get a response just like, boom, quick. So I'm like, I had doubts as to whether or not it was even human, but I don't know. It could have just been somebody being lazy, trying to, maximize their production on emails, and that wouldn't surprise me in the least. And so today, or was it? No, it was today. I checked my inbox, my email inbox, Google email, and it was Outlier emailed me, and they're like, "We're so sorry, we made a mistake. You're reinstated." And so, but the bummer thing is the project that I was on had been assigned to. They say, but you're reinstated. That was our mistake. You didn't do anything wrong. You're a great, highly valued, whatever, contributor. But then the problem is they're like, but you can't get back on the project that you were on. And I'm assuming that's because of their system flagging me as permanently deactivated. That's probably can't be undone within that project, or maybe not without great difficulty. So it was I could make a decent amount of money doing that, and there was a decent amount of hours a day I could do it. And now I have no project, so I'm kind of like, But I've also seen online that site just does that too. They'll just randomly be like, boom, they'll just deactivate waves of people. They'll be like, nope, sorry. They're very ruthless about it. Apparently, they'll just occasionally go through and be like, okay, who's the best? Keep them, trash everyone else. And that's their prerogative, I guess. But I'm like, I don't know, man. So I can't count on it. I can't look at it. It's just a little bit of a bummer, because if that hadn't happened, I could still be doing that, getting that extra money. Because, like, for example, today we've committed to share this one car for door dashing, and one person will do mornings, one person will do nights. That's basically what we're gonna have to try to do to make it work. But like today, I couldn't get any orders. I'm a gold status, so that is probably part of it. I'm not platinum because I haven't dashed in so long. I need to build up to 100 orders in the last 30 days. And, but man, there was like over an hour and a half. I just didn't get one single order this afternoon. And it was the dead time. It was like between 2 and 4. But man, I didn't get one order, and that was unusual. Usually you'd at least get some junky order that you wouldn't normally take, but it would like be $2 or something for 6 miles. And today I would have taken that, because there was just nothing. But so I could have used that Outlier income today. So that was discouraging. And Nikki said that Wednesdays currently, because this kind of stuff ebbs and flows, she said in Liberty, Wednesdays have been very bad lately. So that might explain that. So hopefully that's not the norm, and we can make some consistently good money. She makes good money on platinum, especially in the evening, like from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. or something. She'll make like upwards to $30 an hour. And there's no tax on tips right now, and most of the income is tips. So that's pretty awesome. We couldn't beat that in a job right now. But the thing is getting enough hours. And until I'm platinum, it's probably going to be tough. So we'll see what happens. If we can't survive, we can't survive, I guess, is the ultimate thing. If we can't cover the bills, you can't cover the bills. And you leave the situation and do what you got to do, I guess. Or try to get a job, a regular job. But to be honest, I just don't think that would make as much money. And I have my doubts as to whether or not, what kind of job I could secure and stay in. I just don't know that I could sustain physical labor anymore for, for the long run. Like, I just don't, my body just doesn't tend to tolerate that. And my mind certainly is not. Nowadays, like even a customer service job, man, you are expected to go just crank stuff out. Like when I was at my last job, they started putting me on chats, and they would put me on multiple chats at a time, and I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't. I was ashamed to admit, and I told them, I was like, I just can't do it. I was like, I'm continually sending the wrong thing to the wrong person. And I think they kind of looked at me like I was trying to get out of it. I was like, I'm not proud of it, and I'm not trying to manipulate it, but I am not doing it. I simply can't do this. And I think what was happening is most people were, at least part of what was happening, I do have a problem with that kind of thing, but most people were sending extremely oversimplified responses. So when you do that, it's like, of course, yeah, you can send a bunch of, it's easy, but I was trying to do actual quality work, and in that job is highly complex. That's a whole nother story. They treated it like it was extremely simple, but it was actually extremely complex. And there was this whole culture of perverse incentives of just basically oversimplifying it in order to boost your numbers and essentially cheating. But also that is harder for me. I was in a McDonald's Friday while me and Nikki and Justice were waiting for a tow truck for Justice's car that he's going to sell to a junkyard, which the tow truck never came. That's a whole nother story. That was a big load of BS on the part of that company. But I could overhear, like, I think it was probably the shift manager or something at the McDonald's, and he had a headset on, and dude, the guy was just taking orders, man, taking orders. It was just going on and on endlessly. That would just destroy me. That would just destroy me. I don't even know. I guess partially the boredom and the monotony. That would just, I don't know. I can't do that kind of stuff. I need something to sink my teeth into mentally and work. Otherwise, it all just starts running together. Like, I think what would probably happen is I would confuse one order with the next, but I don't know how much it matters, because as they tell you something, you just hit the button. I'm guessing is basically what happens. And then you just keep doing it. That would drive me nuts. I felt for that's just, so people that knock McDonald's workers, and I'm not talking about like the people that's, I know there's this thing where they're like, we should make X dollars an hour, and a lot of people are criticizing that. It's like, well, I'm not even addressing that. I'm just saying it's not necessarily an easy job. That's not necessarily, it's like, okay, you go do it 5-6 days a week, every day, for a big chunk, a shift, get treated like crap. Just have all this orders, boom, 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 boom. But it's like, yeah, it's not easy. And so, anyway, I guess my point with all that was just, what can I do if I do have to get regular employment? And I guess we'd find out. But I think DoorDash will prove to be good, because it's good for Nikki as platinum at night, and it's good for her in the day too, typically, just not nearly as good. But like what I experienced today is not. She said, nah, that's just a Wednesday thing, and the fact that you're not platinum. So I'm kind of holding out faith there, and that Outlier will give me a project. I am praying currently for our finances. I'm doing a thing called a novena, which is the Latin word for 9, I think, or a derivative of it, but it's Latin. Like, I know the 9th hour of prayer is None, which I think is none, but novena as maybe, I don't know, has something to do with 9 in Latin, and it comes from the book of Acts. So like a novena is you pray for 9 days, and after Jesus ascended into heaven, and at the end of the Gospels, he told the disciples to go to Jerusalem and wait for him to send the Holy Spirit. And that was 9 days that they prayed. They prayed and waited in an upper room for 9 days, and then boom, the Holy Spirit came down. And if you've read that, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, I suggest it. It's pretty amazing. The book of Acts is just, this is a bit of a tangent, I guess, but it's pretty incredible, especially if you're a Christian. And especially if you're a Pentecostal or a non-denominational Christian, you probably know a lot about this already. But if you're not, you're probably kind of a little bit, at least, in the dark about it. Just, I'm not saying everyone, but it's pretty wild how, like, because basically that was the chronicles of the first, the acts of the first church of Christ, first Christians. And I'm gonna have to stop soon, but they were going out and baptizing people in the Holy Spirit and all this stuff. Miracles. It's pretty awesome. And I feel like the church in large part is kind of swept a lot of that under the rug. Like, well, that was for then. Oh, wait, Jacob's texting me. I gotta go. But thanks for listening, and I'll try to do another one soon.